Welcome to Common Ground, the national security podcast where we set politics aside and focus on the threats that impact everyone. From foreign espionage and cyber warfare to psychological influence and disinformation, we break down how adversaries like China, Russia, and others are targeting the American people and what we can do about it. I'm Shane McNeil, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts Amandalynne Davis and Logan. This is where the real conversation begins. This is Common Ground.
All right, so tonight we're going to talk about one of my favorite activities, which is catching traitorous little people that need to be caught for doing bad things. So recently in the news, there was a 28-year-old DIA civilian analyst who was actually, ironically, from the Insider Threat Division. That he's been around for a while, 2019, so he's been in the organization. He's been there for years. He's settled into his job. He's probably gotten a modicum of training, right? He's at least passed his basic courses. He's got a top secret clearance. He's chilling in Alexandria, Virginia, and the administration changes, as is wont to happen every 4 years or 8 in the United States. And he decides that he doesn't like the way things are going. So he's going to, what I call, because I don't feel like there's another way to say it politely, he's an oath breaker. He took an oath to the Constitution. He took an oath to do his job. And the intelligence community is supposed to be set aside from our personal biases of political beliefs, etc. And he reached out to a foreign government and offered to sell secrets. Little did he know that on the other end of the To Catch a Little Treasonous Predator computer was probably a lonely FBI agent. That's very sad now because they arrested him. So he doesn't have anybody else to talk to. Although I'm sure he actually probably has a lot of people to talk to. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about.
I will say the first thing I thought about when you were saying that, and you were talking about to catch a spy, I thought about To Catch a Predator.
Yep,
And which I
guilty.
know
Same.
is where you were going with this. And I thought,
yeah.
how much fun would it be to
Oh,
have a television show called To Catch a Spy, where there are FBI agents posing as foreign intelligence officers,
yeah.
and they are catching spies, and we are getting to watch on like 60 Minutes spies get exposed in real time. I would love that. I
Yeah.
would watch that show.
Well, and I think so there's a little known thing, and it's one of my favorite things to point out to people, that China has Catch an American Spy Day once a year. If you Google it, you can watch the videos. They made cartoons for kids. They made comic books. They offer rewards for reporting your neighbors that are working for the American espionage entities. If we did that, oh my gosh, the amount of hate that would be leapt upon the intelligence community, when the reality is this is happening. It's out
And that
there.
would be amazing reality TV.
Oh,
I
man.
would watch that reality. That's the only reality show I would watch. And it would be my favorite. That one and whatever that freaking shooting show, the shooting reality show that used to be on TV that I love, Top Shot. So Top Shot and To Catch a Spy would be my two reality shows.
Yeah. I mean, we could combine them for all I care. I'm all for it. But
so we catch the spy and then shoot him. There we go. And who can shoot him the most creative way?
I mean, you're treasonous. Things happen. There's penalties for this. Yeah. I mean, go ahead. What were you going to say?
One of my articles that I have coming out for clearance jobs in the next couple of weeks is called warheads. Is info warheads on spy foreheads. So I am all about putting those those warheads on spies' foreheads. So I am fully on board with this, man. Maybe we need to find a Hollywood producer and pitch this.
Yeah.
Leave me out of it.
Yeah.
Come on, Amandalynne.
That's not going to be my
you
entrance.
Would watch this show.
Oh, I would watch it. I would not be on it. Oh, gosh.
You would guilt watch it.
Oh, 110%. I would watch it.
It would be your guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure for sure. That and Love Island.
I can honestly admit I've never seen an episode of that or the Kardashians or
I don't watch that one.
Any of those
They're
other
too
ones.
classy. I need Love Island trashier.
Okay. But yeah, so I will say as somebody who works in this organization, when this came out, the fact that this dude works in our insider threat division. Come on, man.
It's
Like,
brutal. Brutal.
how dumb do you have to be an insider threat official and trying to walk information into a foreign government? Like, that is another level of stupid.
Well, but he did get away with it, right? So he did an actual drop to the FBI because they haven't released what nation he thought he was providing things to. He transcribed TSSCI material. He took it out of work. He delivered it. He handed over a thumb drive in a park, a la Hansen, a la a million of the other guys. I would love to know what park it was because if we're seeing a pattern in parks, that could be a super fun place to jog. But whatever. Um, he did it, and then he wanted more and more. He was offering more in exchange for citizenship or compensation. But he didn't start out as the typical pay me. It wasn't money that motivated him as much as it was ideology. I mean, money is a nice side effect from what it sounds like that we've seen in the open source reporting, but he didn't start asking for money. He started because he didn't believe that what the administration was doing was in tune with his morals.
Yeah. Well, I think this calls back to, it wasn't that long ago we did an episode here, Pink Slips and Loose Lips, right? And we had our favorite psychologist, Dr. Sarah, on, who I know, by the way, just so you guys know, Dr. Sarah listens to every episode. She is our number one fan. So Logan and Amandalynne, she loves you guys.
We
And,
love her.
Sarah, we know you're listening right now and we love you. But that episode that we did, where we talked about this very topic, and we talked about the fact that people are going to be disgruntled, that even if they're not laid off, they're going to be angry, they're going to be alienated, they're going to feel that their beliefs are not being heard, that and we knew, we said months, is it months ago? I don't know how long it's
Oh
been
yeah,
since
no, it
we
was
did
months
that.
ago.
Yeah, months ago, that this was going to happen, and here it is. And realistically, it's we caught this guy, Nathan Latch. We caught him. FBI, great job. I love you guys. But realistically, and we've talked about this a whole bunch of times on this podcast, that when we catch one, that's the tip of the iceberg. We catch the dumb ones. We've told,
Mm-hmm.
Logan, you and I have talked to our interns about that. We've talked to the grad students about it. We've talked to, and that's who we catch. We catch the people who are too dumb not to get caught. And so, yeah, this guy took his thumb drive and tried to walk into another country and say, "Here you go." And he got caught, he got arrested, his life is over. But he's probably just one. There's probably, if he's the one that we caught, there's probably a half dozen or a dozen more in his place that we're not catching because they're smarter than him.
I mean, it was in the news. They said Russia and China are upping their recruiting for jobs, people that have lost their jobs, people that are dissuaded, all that stuff. It's out there. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen, and people still ran headlong into it.
Yeah. The I will say, the one of the things that stood out to me is the fact that he used a thumb drive. I will say, as a DoD and IC employee, I don't get to use a thumb drive at work. Why does this spy get to use a thumb drive at work?
Insider threat, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
clearly,
yeah. But he didn't put it in
clearly
a
we
peanut butter and
are.
jelly sandwich. Good
Yeah,
start, getting better.
I mean, but this is not the first case, by the way. For those of us who keep up with spy stuff, this is not the first case of a spy catcher turning on us. Our most famous ones, Robert Hansen, is this dude is another Robert Hansen, where he was a counterintelligence or slash insider threat official who turned on us. Luckily, thanks to the FBI, which I am a fan of the FBI. I know that a lot of people are not these days. I think they do a great job. And they caught this guy before he did a Hansen and got a bunch of people killed, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or an Ames or a, you know, there's too many times where people in this type of situation got people killed before they got caught. They caught this guy right off the bat, and we gotta show some love to the FBI for it. So
Well, we don't know what triggered the investigation, which is good, and we shouldn't, right? We should not be putting those things out. We don't want those things out there, but we don't know what it was that pushed him from someone that's been in the community for a minute to now I want to trade American secrets for citizenship in another country. So he was planning obviously to make an exit at some point, had this continued, but ideologically he reached a point of snapping that hopefully someone around him saw or someone saw an indicator of or he made statements and someone reported it, etc. But I think watching the watchers is something that needs to happen. I think it's something that you should accept when you come into certain career fields that you're going to be on a list, and with
yeah,
that list comes greater attention. And if you are the insider threat department, you should probably be on the list. Just saying, that's my opinion.
yeah. I yeah, I mean, I think that, as you and I speaking from the context of we would be on that list, it is an interesting way to look at it because I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, I'm like, man, do I want to be on that list? Because you're right, you and I would be on that list. And there is a lot of things that happen in our political environment that I don't agree with. And do I have to then watch everything I say? Do I have to
Mm-hmm.
be careful? I mean, we already have the Hatch Act, right? Where we have to be
Mm-hmm.
careful what we say politically. But do we then also have to be careful about the ideological ideas that we expose about ourselves because maybe that puts us at a different place on the list, you know? Um, I
Well, I
know,
think it's
yeah,
complicated
yeah,
because
it is.
you're
It
allowed to
is a hard
have
problem. Yeah,
thoughts, you're allowed to have emotions, you're not allowed to commit espionage. But at the same time, the intelligence community is supposed to be set apart from that. Your personal biases should never interfere with your collection, your analysis, your delivery to a stakeholder. That is part of the oath, in my opinion, of a professional. And if I don't know how I think you have to watch,
yeah,
which it is dodgy. I get what you're saying because there's definitely some fears out there of what you say can and will be used against you. But a lot of what we're seeing, especially in recent history, is ideological. Yeah, Hansen was ego, Ames was ego, but Montez was ideological. She didn't take money. She didn't need to sneak out. She knew what was in her brain and just wrote it down when she got home. This guy started that way. I mean, according to the reporting, right? That's the news. He wrote it down. He took it home. His first delivery. Reality Winner. God, I hate that name so much.
yeah.
Um,
I that does not seem. Yeah. It's hard to recognize that that's a real person.
but it was ideological. She
Yeah, yeah.
felt
She
that
was.
what
Yeah,
was happening wasn't in line with what the Constitution, and instead of doing the right thing and using the whistleblower program, she dumped, which is my argument to a lot of the world when they say, well, these people were whistleblowers. No, there's an actual policy for that. There's a procedure. They didn't
yeah,
follow it and they dumped. They dumped all over the internet. That is not whistleblowing. So you can't tell me that's what you were trying to do. But again, it's ideology, ideology. And in our country, emotions are charged. And with deep fakes, which we talked about on other occasions, there are great opportunities to deceive people that don't know any better. Even just without a deep fake, there's a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in LA. You're seeing people regurgitate photos from 2020 or other events or even other countries, and people are just like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." And it's like that's not even here. That's not even
yeah,
happening. But if no one's looking, you know, I think people got to be on, yeah, with great power comes great responsibility to steal a line from
yeah.
Spider-Man, right? I mean, it sucks, but it's somebody's got to be watching. And I wouldn't have my feelings hurt. I just hope they're ready for it because I got a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
Dark
I
sense
think
of humor.
realistically what's happening is that Amandalynne's been assigned to watch both of us.
Could be.
Well, that I can't really say. Now, can I? I can't confirm or
Yeah.
deny.
Yeah.
She's
Say
Spy
our
you have to
she's our
kill
oath.
us.
watcher. That's why
You have to
she's not
kill
talking a
us.
lot this episode, is she
Yeah,
is our
no.
watcher.
I'm
Um
watching because this is not something I actually know that much about. I feel like I say that so often here, but I've not really heard of this case. And I'm also just curious about what you had said, Logan, about whistleblowers and how people think that some of these actions might be considered whistleblowing. Why don't these people take the policy route? Is it
They never
ineffective?
wanted to.
They never wanted to,
They
but
never wanted to.
I'm just
That's just a
curious,
cop
is
out.
it
In Logan's personal opinion, this does not reflect the
okay?
opinion of any organization whatsoever. All of those people knew what they were doing, and that's why they did it. Like Snowden, he wasn't a leak or a whistleblower, he was a leaker, and that's why he sent it overseas to other nations. If you're trying to blow the whistle, I can see maybe one, like, oh, I'm going to the New York Times. And if they don't do something about it, I'll give you more. I'll give you more. But even that, there's procedures and policies in place within the government to report these things.
Why is
And they
that not
go,
as enticing then? Do you think it's mostly because these people that leak are driven by like a revenge, an ideology, like the mice, like the money ideology,
so
coercion?
mice, and I like rascals better, right? It expands a little bit more because
Oh,
there's a
what's
lot of,
rascals?
it's an even longer thing we'll have to talk about. But yeah, so mice is like the baseline. Rascals is a lot wider breadth of motivation for why people commit espionage, written by a really smart woman. I believe she was at the agency. But the article is open source. You can Google mice and rascals. It'll come up. But it's more that, is it always money or is it ego that comes with, I want to buy this car, so I need money. But is it really the car or is it your ego that needs the car? So there's a lot of
Right.
arguments on what those tie back into, but my personal assessment is that the main people like Reality Winner and Snowden, they didn't just dump to one proper location. They dumped all over the internet. They dumped to foreign adversaries. They dumped to places that they knew would empower the enemy or opposition. And you can't tell me you're a whistleblower then. I think it was
yeah.
about ego, and I think it's about just getting their own name out there more than anything else.
So I will say I think Reality Winner I don't know enough about necessarily. She did kind of seem extreme ideological to me, which from a forensic psychology background, I think that there was a true ideological component to that. That being said, a guy like Snowden, right? So you let's say he was actually trying to, and we're getting way off topic on this, but maybe we're
Mm-hmm.
not. I don't know because this is kind of the topic. But let's say he was trying to leak, right? Well, there is newspapers like The Guardian that he could have leaked to, but that's not what he did. There are countries, four in the entire world that we have real concerns about. They are China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Those are our number. Those are our top four enemies in the entire globe. And Edward Snowden picked two of our top four enemies in the globe to run to when he decided to leak. He
Yeah.
didn't run to another country that believes more strongly in freedom of the press than we do, which theoretically should not be a thing because it's our First Amendment. But let's be honest, But like he didn't run to a British newspaper. He didn't run to an American left leaning newspaper. He ran to our top two enemies.
Right.
So let's not pretend that he is a leaker, right?
Yeah.
That's not, I don't want to say whether I think Reality Winner is enough. I have to do way more research into her, but I do know anybody, if you are listening and you think Edward Snowden is not a traitor and a spy, and yeah, then you're wrong. Period. You're
Mm-hmm.
wrong because that dude ran to our two top enemies and gave them our top secrets. You can't even start to pretend that that dude was trying to leak information because it was ethical. Because even if he was trying to do that, there's 1,000 ways to do that without running to our enemies. So
And that's my argument there. Yeah,
That's Shane's 2 cents on the issue. Yeah,
absolutely. But I mean, I think it goes back to the point that it's not about always finances as much as it is. I think there's more ideological and ego involved. It's more mental and emotional than it is financial. Snowden reality, all those, none of those people are living great lives. I promise you.
yeah.
Right? Snowden's about 20 minutes from a bullet to the back of the head underneath a building in Moscow somewhere when he runs out
I
of
just keep
secrets.
waiting for him to fall out a window. Yeah,
Yeah, right. And no one will be surprised when it happens. And I
yeah,
will probably raise a glass. I won't be
yeah.
sad at all. But
I'll tell you what, Logan, I will buy you the best cigar I can find the
there you
night that
go.
Snowden falls out a window.
Yeah, yeah. I'm all for that. But this could have been way worse, right? This guy was one of the people assigned to watch for this sort of thing. We're lucky he was bad at his job.
Yeah,
We catch the stupid ones for a reason. And if
yeah.
this guy was good, ooh, buddy. And I think Year of the Spy is the tip of the iceberg compared to what we're going to see in the next few years as these people are uncovered.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's like we said, we called this months ago. We said this was going to happen with the stuff that's going on in this country. You've talked about, in this episode, you've talked about how you think that we need, more attention paid to the watch the watchers.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I hate the idea of people watching me more,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're wrong because this is not the first time this has happened. We got this guy,
Mm-hmm.
we've got Hansen, we've got you know, and realistically, people who do what we do have the potential to have way more of a negative effect. Maybe we need to screen better for people who come into our career field. I will
So
say
I have
that,
thought about that. What about mandated psych sessions with an off
yeah,
psych or a psych, somebody that's cleared that you can talk to that's going to highlight these indicators and help these people before they
yeah.
reach this point, if there is a way. Sometimes you can't
Well,
you can't diffuse it, right?
well, and
Sometimes
I
it's
was
just
thinking about,
inevitable.
yeah, I was thinking about the way that you and I came into this field because I think you and I probably came into CI not far apart. And it was back in the day in Army CI when we had to screen into this job. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't just apply for a job and go through the basic process to get an MOS and all of a sudden we had to screen. We had to go talk to other agents who used the skills that they have to screen us out. And once I became an agent, screened out plenty of people for these types of things. Um, I don't know if the Army still does that because I'm not in the Army anymore. I hope that they still do. Um, but I mean, that was the kind of stuff that we used to do that screened out some of this stuff. If we're going to have a program to watch the Watchers, maybe insider threat and counterintelligence need to bring back that whole thing where you have to screen into these fields because it is not the kind of thing you should be coming straight into. I don't know. Amandalynne, I'm sorry. As a person trying to get into this field, we're going to screen you.
I don't see myself at any of those agencies, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I could
Well, I
not be a
mean,
spy or anything adjacent.
I'm nowhere near as cool as a lot of people, but you do have continual monitoring. You do have financial checks. You do have criminal checks. You do. I'm here because I hate communists. I'm literally wearing a t-shirt right now that says "Keep kids off communism."
I'll
So
second that. It's true. He
I am
is.
here because I don't like communism, and I think it's no one's killed more communists than communism, and I'm just jealous.
Well, and
So
also nobody has better T-shirts than Rogue Dynamics.
yeah,
So
right. Yeah,
throwing a
especially if you
pitch
don't
out
like
there,
communism.
throwing a
There you
pitch
go.
for
If
Logan's
you
company. Nobody has
don't
better
like
T-shirts than Rogue Dynamics.
communists, if you
It
don't
was
like
my
communists, we're your
yeah.
people.
And Rogue
But
Dynamics, by the way, make great T-shirts to wear under your body armor when you're in
yeah,
Afghanistan. I
yeah,
will
that's
say
some fun
it
with.
was my
But
go-to T-shirt for.
but we
So
have we are limited in how we screen and monitor because of our nation and how we believe things should be. We don't have WeChat where the government is watching as much as people will try to conflate, what we're surveillance monitoring apps, et cetera, are in the United States compared to what these other countries have, and the ruthlessness that they aggress their own nation's people for thought monitoring, or back to the Little Red Book app. It's literally got a daily message from the great leader on there about communism. I mean, we don't do that. So we've got to find the balance in screening and monitoring, but also providing the right mental health tools to where we're not in these situations. Ideally,
Yeah.
we don't lose people to this problem.
Yeah, well, and it's I think it's mental health. It's what Sarah talked about in our second episode, which is recognizing the burnout, the ideological drift, the resentment that is coming from the current situation in our country, the the fact that modern, not modern, that current, I think current, because modern implies broader, current
Hmm.
American national security professionals feel like they are in an environment where they are unappreciated, they are, they don't have job security, they don't have, and that creates prime hunting grounds for enemy intelligence. And we need to recognize that that is a legitimate problem and not just say, well, anybody who does that is a bad guy. And if you've even thought about it, then you're a traitor. I, I, we have to be careful here because, yes, if you've thought about that, that's a bad thing. But, like, realistically, we need to recognize that there is probably a decent percentage of the workforce right now that feels that way. And we need to create an environment where they can open up about those types of problems. It reminds me of the days when you couldn't talk about having anxiety. You couldn't
Hmm.
talk about having PTSD. You couldn't talk about having depression, or you would lose your security clearance. And today, you can do that. Today, as long as you are getting treatment, you can have those issues and maintain your security clearance.
Hmm.
I think we are in an environment right now where you need to be able to talk about your disgruntlement. You need to be able to talk about your fears of losing your job. You need to be able to talk about all of the things that you think are wrong in an environment where you are not going to be punished for them, or we're going to see more spies.
Well, I think that's where the mental health professionals come in to the organization that have a clearance that you can do that with, that you can talk about issues. But I mean, losing your job for most of the United States or most of the world is a thing that can happen. It's a lot. I think if you're happy now, you were probably not happy 4 years prior, right? And then vice versa. But it doesn't give you free range to go as far as these people did. These are extreme
Yeah,
cases that committed espionage. And I think that, what was one of the mottos of the OSS, the original precursors to all the agencies and all the fun things, was if we weren't doing this, we'd be robbing banks. So if you don't see upheaval in the world and get that mouth watering, rub your hands together like, ooh, I could do something with this, you might not want to be in that business that is targeting vulnerabilities. And if you don't think that the opposition isn't drooling all over the figurative plate right now with opportunities to exploit these people's mental health weakness or emotional weakness or financial weaknesses or whatever, that you're wrong. They are all over this like fat kids on cupcakes, and they've told us it's in the news. It's been in LinkedIn for years. It's been on the news that they were going to hit these people. That Yeah. Anyway, it's been all over. There's a lot
yeah,
of things that if I was a bad guy that I would be zeroed in on right now and just pushing buttons.
oh yeah,
So
yeah, and we called it months ago. We're seeing it happen. Honestly, I think this is the first of a number of instances we are going to see. I don't
absolutely.
think this is the last time we're going to be having this conversation on this podcast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but let's I don't know. I don't have a solution. I think we'll have this conversation again.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that we do need to pay more attention. We need to focus more on mental health, and that's my 2 cents.
Amandalynne, parting thoughts?
I have so many
Fire.
actually, but I'll keep it short. Um, I do think it says something about how we understand mental health and well-being in our general workforce of the people that run this country and help keep it afloat and protected and safe on all fronts with political and like intelligence ends. Um, these are the people that you really, really want to take care of. You want to take care of people in general and make sure that Americans are safe and they feel safe. But you're only as good as the people that are protecting you as well. And if they don't feel safe in their jobs and they're turning to these kinds of tactics, I can only imagine what other factors that we may not even see in the news and they're reporting these cases that led them to that point. So while I disagree with everything that they did, at the same time, the human level of it is where did you have to be in your head to say, this is the choice I should be making, and I'm going to do it and go through with it, and in some cases, try it again, and then you get caught. And
Mm.
so there's times when, like with this case that we talked about today, it's he did it once and then got caught the second time. So it wasn't like he was caught in the act. He'd already done it, thought it through, and said, okay, round two. Um, and to think that these people, in many cases, are just feeling so abandoned that that must be what they want to do, or they feel so unrepresented by their own government that they take that oath and throw it out the window. Because to them, and I'm just gonna assume, I'm assuming this, but they probably feel like those oaths were thrown out over them as well. Like they feel like they're government officials threw out the oath. So what does it matter if they do? And like it's a way of rationalizing their behavior. To feel so abandoned. I think, like you said, Logan, so many people lose their jobs. Like losing your job is part of life. So to think that these people may have felt so attached to the country and that oath that they felt like it was just absolutely trampled and that's what they turned to. On an empathetic level, I feel for them, but then I'm like, what do we do to prevent that? And the only thing that's ever coming to my mind about it is, like you guys have both suggested, is mental health awareness and like having those long, hard talks, and having an
Mm.
outlet to be heard without fear of punishment. Because it seems to them, in my mind, looking at it, outward looking in, that they know they're going to be punished either way, whether they're caught or not. And if they don't do it, they're going to be punished by not being represented. So it's to them just what, like a toss up? That's what it seems like to someone who is not an expert on this and whatsoever on any of these cases. But just looking at it, I just can't imagine what the thought process was to get them there. So yeah, on that human level, ugh. On a civilian level, who's relying on these people to make sure that I'm safe and my information's safe, it's also like, ooh, are we sure we can't have some more oversight? But then, like, who's gonna watch the watchers that are watching? It's just obviously human concern and some sort of safe community to express would probably end up doing something a little better, I would hope. Fingers crossed. But that's
Well,
my
and I
two
think
cents.
that they're very fortunate that these people committed these crimes against their nation in the United States, because almost any other nation in the world, their whole family would have
Right.
horrible things happen to them.
Right.
Right? These
Yeah,
people are getting a
absolutely.
couple years in prison, short of Hanson and Ames, that got what they deserve. But the majority, they'll get their time and they'll get out. But other countries, it's a bullet to the head, or out a window, or off a bridge, or a camp.
Yeah.
So
Because
yeah,
snitches wind up in ditches.
that's right.
With stitches.
That's right.
No,
Sometimes. If they
ditches.
make it. If they make
Ditches.
it,
Ditches. Yeah, stitches are the best thing that happened to
yeah,
snitches.
I'm saying that here we have
Because
some people that
let's
left with
be
stitches.
honest,
We don't have a
snitches
ton of
wind
people
up
in
in
ditches.
ditches. All right.
All right. Well, that'll be it for this one, and we will talk to you guys soon.
All right, that's it for today's episode of Common Ground. If you found this discussion insightful, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're here every other week breaking down the national security threats that impact all of us, no matter where you stand politically.
And if you liked what you heard, leave us a review. It helps more people find the show and join the conversation. Plus, we promise to read every single one, unless, of course, it's written by a bot from Beijing or a Winnie the Pooh costume.
You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Blue Sky for updates, behind the scenes content, and more ways to stay informed. Got a topic you want us to cover? Let us know. We love hearing from our listeners.
And remember, national security isn't left or right, it's about all of us. Until next time, let's find some common ground.